welcome to List Off. I'm Nat.
And I'm Ossie. And this week we're doing top 5 breads.
Certainly.
Which was suggested by Kieran Reid on Twitter a while ago. And since then, a number of people in person have been like, when are you going to do bread? When are you going to do bread? So I think it's one of the pressing issues of the day.
I guess, importantly, the word in that is the breads. It's very much plural. And it was, how do you find it to pick them, your breads?
I love bread. Like, bread is my favorite food, I think. Like, my favorite food stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, It's my desert island carb. It's my, that's the one for me, bread. The smell of bread cooking, eating bread, fresh bread. It's got to be fresh. I'm not one of these, like, keep it in the freezer guys. I'm not one of these kind of like, it's good for 5 days kind of people. It's just good until it goes moldy. I want fresh bread. I'm going to buy enough for today, and I'm going to go buy some more tomorrow because I want it fresh.
When you say what is enough for today?
The amount I'm going to eat today.
So how quickly, maybe this will come up, maybe I'll deal with this. I was going to talk about your daily bread. Give us this day whatever your daily bread is. But maybe this will come up, so perhaps I should leave it.
Yeah, I can speak on my day. My daily bread will come up in the course of this, because some of my top 5s are daily breads, and some of them are sometimes breads.
Okay, good. I think I've pretty much gone for sometimes breads. My daily breads, it's not a spoiler because I can say it, tends to be a wholemeal, which I don't really have much preference on. Any kind of wholemeal, or more likely Warburton's toasty, the sort of thick toasty bread, which works. It tends to work just because it's exactly the right size. Some are too thin, some are too fat, and that is just right. I think that's how I find it.
And that's bagged sliced kind of longer life kind of bread. Yeah. We did have one major thing we had to talk about before we did our lists, which was whether pizza counts.
Yeah, well, I think people are already thinking it definitely doesn't count. But I went on specifically list of breads on Wikipedia, and I've chosen mine from list of breads. And it does say that this list says, according to Wikipedia, does not include cakes, pastries, or fried dough foods. So I did it as that, and it's saying notable breads or steamed bread varieties. Bread has been a prominent food in large parts of the world, but it doesn't particularly go into what is and isn't bread on that page. But it did include pizza.
It did, but when you click on pizza, it says pizza is an Italian dish.
Yeah.
With dough covered in toppings. So I'm like, you just don't have pizza's just not something you eat as a bread.
No. And so we've both discounted it, where you just feel like we can't have it.
Also, I just think it's like, if you're picking pizza as a bread, you're really picking all the things you're having on top of it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
If you said you can have a plain pizza with no tomato, no cheese, no pineapple, no eggs, no weirdness, you're not going to pick that. It doesn't. But if you include all the toppings, pizza just smokes everything, obviously, because it's way more interesting, you know? So I don't think you've got to put it out. It's got to go up against some other things.
So we've had to discount pizza, but the problem with that is I have chosen several things from Wikipedia's lists of bread, and it has made me think, well, if pizza's doesn't count, then do these count? But I have chosen them on the basis that they, according to Wikipedia, are not cakes, pastries, or fried dough foods. Although one of them I think is bordering on cakiness. But we'll deal with that as we come to it.
We can thrash that out, but I think pizza is the elephant in the room, so we've dealt with that. Do you want to start us off?
My number 5 is crumpets. And I've picked crumpet because of how well a crumpet holds butter.
Yeah.
It's essentially a butter delivery device.
Yeah.
Other good breads that hold butter very well, ciabatta, which nearly made my list, but it felt like that doesn't hold it as well as a crumpet does.
No.
I love that thing when you bite into a crumpet. It's got that same thing Maltesers do. That sometimes I just like to bite into it and just look at its innards
Oh yeah.
and see
Yeah.
it. It's a
It's a bit-
pleasing shape of crumpet anyway.
It's like a kind of butter sponge.
Exactly, like a butter sponge.
Beautiful, beautiful. That's I think that's probably my favorite way to eat butter. As I'm not a big butter fan, I think crumpet's the best butter.
Do you have
sponge.
anything else on it but butter?
Do you know what? I might put a Nutella or something on there, but it's folly. You really are
Right.
wasting your time, and you could have had it covered in butter or filled with butter, effectively.
Yeah.
Because that's what it does, and it runs down into all the cracks.
Exactly.
No,
I still like it a crumpet where the butter hasn't quite like melted into it. I still like a little bit of butter floating on top.
no, that's
And then once it's through, no,
that's all right. Got to melt
I don't know.
It's got to melt it.
But I mean, I'm talking about having the best of both worlds. I'm having the inside is melted,
Yeah.
but there's still a little bit of knob on top.
Yeah.
A little bit of knob.
Yeah.
And I also find them incredibly pleasing aesthetically. The crumpet. I like the shape. I like the little holes. They kind of look like you're looking at surface of Mars or something.
Yeah.
You've got that nice kind of. They're a very pleasing shape. They're a very pleasing texture. But essentially, the reason they're on my list at number 5 are best butter holder.
Yeah, not on my list, but that is definitely the best butter holder. I think best way to eat butter, and the double-sidedness of them is great, right? Their underside is really different from the top side, and that's to be admired in almost any food. You know, we talked about that with wham bars last week. It's like
exactly
you've really got the bottom of your mouth has got a whole other experience when you're eating it from the top of your mouth, and that's a great.
It's the wham bar of breads.
The wham bar of breads, Baz Bamig boy.
Crumpets.
Put that on the poster.
The wham bars of breads. Crumpet is also a 70s slang term, isn't it, for women? They say. Yeah. I don't know if there's a connection. I've not done the research on that, but maybe write in if you know the etymology of that.
I doubt it's that women are also the best butter delivery system.
No. And are they the wham bars of the sexes? Who knows?
Yes, I don't know. Let's move on. My number 5 is becoming increasingly obscure bread. It's the milk loaf. A milk loaf, a round, what's the word? Tubular shaped bread, ridged with a totally closed bread tin, made very white bread, made with milk. Very light, great for kids because you cut round slices off it, and springy with a sort of firm crust, but basically kids will eat that crust even if they don't like crusts. They'll eat that crust. I loved it when I was a kid. I still love it. If you at a country bakery and they've got it, definitely Lammings in Bromyard in Herefordshire, prime milk loaf, the milk loaf of my childhood. Absolutely love them. They're a great bread, but you don't see them around much now.
No.
I think tradition is going.
No, I like a milk loaf. Milk loaf are sort of the kind of definitive white bread in a way. It kind of is what you want, and what I buy, I think, is kind of like a supermarket, mass market equivalent of that. I think.
Yeah, it's the preeminent white. It's the whitest of the white. But exactly. It's round as well, and it's ridged like a McCoy. That's good fun. You know, that's good fun to have. So, yeah, a milk loaf is a top children's loaf, although you know it probably has no nutritional value whatsoever.
Yeah, you're probably only looking at getting them in, I guess, like independent bakeries now. Greggs have kind of given up any of their bakery remit now to just be like sell sandwiches and things. They don't really count anymore. Recent RIP is Percy Ingles. If you live in East London, they've all gone.
They've gone.
Well, they became Ingles, I think. Or maybe there's still a couple of Ingles. They all changed the name to Ingles.
Mm.
My local one's gone, and I wonder if they're all going the same way. But you can get a milk loaf at Percy Ingles, but they're very much, you know, Percy Ingles is very much the bakery that Greg's wishes it was, but that fails. My number 4 is a crouton. I rarely have a crouton, but when they're on the list, I couldn't really not have them. They just sort of stuck with me. Like, when the last time I had a crouton? I love a crouton.
Not a crouton, surely.
Several.
Yeah, right.
Several croutons. But the idea of like having that as like a thing for soup always felt really classy to me when I was a kid as well. Like if there was like some soup, and you could get these little packets of them in M&S, and they're almost like a kind of, I don't think they are, but they're almost like kind of fried tasting, aren't they? They've kind of got a salty texture, and they're quite hard. There is that thing where it feels like it's not like a toast. It's very much like a hard, almost kind of lightly fried square. That's very much the flavour of them, with some sort of perhaps a little herb or something on them. They're like almost like tiny roast potatoes that you put in your soup. And I don't mind, like, I like it when they're crunchy. I like it when they go a bit soft. I just like them. They felt like the height of sophistication when I was a kid as well. And often, like when I was a kid, I think my mum would say, "Do you want croutons?" And what she meant was a slice of bread that you could just pull apart, and put in your soup. But I think when I had the proper crouton, it was like, yes, please. And also, I feel like whenever I have soup now, I do need some kind of bread with it. I need to have a roll or toast or something.
Soup without bread is not happening. Half a meal. You need the bread for sure. Croutons also pop up in salad bars from time to time.
Yes, they do. Yeah,
a hotel salad bar or something might have some croutons. You could just pick up with a spoon and scatter them over your salad.
Exactly. In the old days of a Pizza Hut buffet, a crouton would definitely be included within a salad.
Pizza Hut buffet. That's not a thing anymore, is it?
Oh, they still exist. It just feels like I haven't done it in a long time. Although I did do it last year because I hadn't done it in a long time.
What, you went to a Pizza Hut buffet in the year of COVID?
No, I went in Christmas 2019 and had a Pizza Hut buffet, and I believe I'm right in saying this. In fact, I'm certain I am. That it'll be the first Pizza Hut I've had in the 21st century.
Yeah, no, wouldn't be the case for me because I've definitely had a slice to go in Leicester Square.
Oh, maybe I've had slice to
that
go.
Little kiosk. That's the only like a sit-down Pizza Hut. I wouldn't even know where to go. Where's there a sit-down Pizza Hut?
There is one in the Strand.
That's bizarre. Wow.
And I think the slice one in Leicester Square might have seating inside.
Oh, is the big restaurant still there?
I don't know. Maybe I'm talking about the past.
We should look at the film of people, England fans wrecking the place, and see if they wrecked a Pizza Hut.
Yeah.
Confirm. Yeah. Or just Google it.
It looked like it was being filmed within the Burger King. If I got my geography right.
Your fast food Leicester Square geography. My number 4 is a baguette, and I think the baguette these days is your safest bet in any less good bakery environment. In a supermarket, if you want a fresh bread, in a chain shop of some kind, if you just want a fresh bread, their baguette is going to be okay. There are some exceptions to this, Morrison's. There are some exceptions, but basically, the baguette now is a solidly baked bread in the UK mainstream. So it's not my number one. Even if I'm in France, it's not my number one, but it's a good bread for any occasion. Lovely crust and soft on the inside. Lovely stuff. France have this year submitted a claim for it to have UNESCO heritage status, which is quite something for a loaf of bread. But you know, the baguette is only like 100 years old with the
Oh,
name
really?
with the name baguette, and the recipe is a 19th century recipe. But as it's cooked now, but long loaves in general have been associated with France since the time of the Sun King, and you know, the baguette refers to the recipe as has been cooked for the last 150 or so years. So I like that, and also baguette just means like stick, or you know, baton. So loads of
Oh,
other
yeah.
things in French are called baguette, which I quite like. Like, you know, the conductor's stick.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a
Well,
baguette.
oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Because often, like, I think often when you get like when you're talking about a baguette, you're talking essentially like a longer French loaf that's kind of what 60 centimeters, less than 45 centimeters.
The Wikipedia page has some minimum and maximum measurements on it. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Do you know what whereabouts they fall?
Well, it says they can be up to 2 meters. So, you know, don't feel
Wow,
bad if yours isn't, but they can be very
they
long.
can be. What's the smallest you can go?
It's more to do with the proportions, right? Like, I mean, it's just that if it is wider, you know,
Okay.
then it would be one of those other things that, you know, the wider ones are called something else, and then the really thin ones have another name, which I haven't written down in my notes.
Well, I see often like people advertise baguettes, like in a cafe. You go, oh, they got a baguette, and what they mean is something that's sort of like 25 centimeters. And I would say I would almost refer to that as a baton.
Yeah, but I
That
think the
that
baton
isn't
is
quite a
generic. The baguette is actually it's more like the dimensions, the length compared to the width
okay.
and the recipe. But
All
there
right.
are names for the wider one and the skinny one. I've just
Okay.
not got them here to hand.
Well, sticking with this, I'll say that my number 3 is the baguette. So I really like a baguette. It's always a treat. Um, I like anything. You can pretty much put anything on it, and it's good.
Mm.
You're right in that the best thing about it is kind of the crust, which is often the worst thing about a lot of breads.
Yep.
But with a baguette, the crust is kind of well, it's not the best bit. It's got two great bits.
The
The
contrast.
crust is great, yeah, and the inside is great. No, I'm a big fan of it. Yeah. So that's for me, a baguette is something which is, I guess, about 45 centimeters. It's not something which is sort of smaller, which I think dimensions wise changes kind of what you're eating. You're getting too much when it goes to baton size. I think you're getting too
Too
much
much
crust.
ends.
Yeah, too much ends and not enough in the middle. And your crust should be the kind of thing you kind of bite into and be able to kind of pull apart, and rather than something that's like crunch and it's something to get through. I think your baguette is like it's good all the way through. Um, when I was a kid, it was always French bread. That's what it's
French
called,
bread. Yeah.
French bread. Then French stick, and later baguette when we became more educated. I know you've noticed that post Brexit, some of the supermarkets have changed some of their items, haven't they, to more English sounding things.
Yeah.
Is it
Yeah.
little peas?
Little peas with a
Yeah.
big British flag on them. Little British peas instead of petit pois. Little British peas. Yeah. So maybe baguettes will now be called long bread,
Long breads.
long loaves, long
Uh,
British loaves. Yeah.
but no, I'm a big fan of a baguette. Yeah, yeah. Actually, they're pretty evergreen. They're pretty evergreen. I don't get them enough, in fact. But you know,
They're one
now I'm
of
talking
two
about them.
breads that I can't eat without getting a song stuck in my head. Can you guess what that is?
No.
It's No Diggity by you know, what are they called? Blackstreet.
Yes.
That's the song I get in my head when I eat baguettes. And the other one is Papa Dams, which I can't eat without getting Madonna in my head. So that's it. There's two breads that I would have put this as a different list, like top 5 songs I get stuck in my head when eating particular foods. But I just thought it
Do you
was
know
wrong
what?
to ask you to try and come up with 5 of them. So I've
Over
burnt them here.
time, I could do that list.
That I've only got 2,
If
and
I
it's
just
been a
keep,
while.
I don't know, most things I eat, I end up with a song in my head and go, oh, it's because of that thing.
Yeah, I like to have a baguette with like a salami. That's fantastic. I like any kind of like, I'm not really supposed to eat these things now, but like, do you know you can get those ones in town now where it's like a place that all they sell is like Serrano ham in baguettes.
Oh yeah.
That's it. Yeah, yeah. If I walk past there, I'll be like, I'm about to bag it up. Mm-hmm. Just yeah, can't beat it.
I think if I was to pick anything, I'd have something like a Brussels pate or something on a
right.
bit of.
It's a meaty continental bread.
Yes, please.
My number 3 is sourdough. Absolutely ubiquitous hipster bread of the now. But do you know it's basically one of the oldest breads, and the oldest excavated sourdough was found in Switzerland, dating to 3700 BCE. So sourdough's been around. The French bakers brought sourdough techniques to Northern California during the California Gold Rush and became a hit there. And that's why people talk about San Francisco sourdough. I think even the Latin name for the sourdough yeast is got San Francisco in it. And yeah, it was the kind of main bread until Louis Pasteur confirmed his germ theory, and they could like commercial bakeries could culture yeast and do it the easy way kind of thing. But yeah, my other half's been baking sourdough since COVID, like 98% of the bourgeois population of Britain, and that's been great. Like fresh bread every other day. It's got really good at it. It's great. Again, like if you're in a trendy-ish kind of place, the sourdough is probably the best option. Their baguette's going to be rubbish. But if they got a sourdough, it's going to be legit. And I think it's a great excuse to eat nice white bread and still seem classy.
Yeah.
And
I'm fairly agnostic on the sourdough. I certainly like it fine, but I don't get its specialness. I think, but like what do you eat it with? Is there something you eat it with that's particularly?
I mostly eat it with some chicken, some grilled chicken, sliced up. But I don't have it with anything. I think it's great. It's great, super crusty. Super crusty. Really, you might break your teeth, kind of thing. Or you might even like have jaw ache afterwards. But really springy in the middle, and it's got to have a lot of taste. A lot of like supermarket sourdoughs, they look beautiful, they smell good, they've got all the right characteristics, but then they taste of like water, just nothing. So it's got to have a real kind of tangy, sort of real savory taste. Maybe slightly burnt around the outside, that's just slightly burnt.
Okay, yeah. To me, it's more like tastes like bread. That's what I think of
Yeah,
sourdough.
I
I
think
don't
it's got
have
to be like a real.
I miss the subtlety of it.
You need a kind of rustic. I've been keeping this yeast going for 10 years kind of vibe, rather than a kind of commercial one, I think.
Yeah, maybe I've been having some quite mediocre sourdough. Maybe I
Like I
need to
say
try the
every
good
week,
stuff.
next time you come around to my house, we'll break some sourdough, and then we'll have a fruit party or whatever it is.
My number 2 is the bagel. Now, I don't think I had a bagel until I was maybe 11, 10. I'd never had one. Immediately loved it. It's waxy. I find it quite sweet, quite a sweet bread, very sort of tasty. almost puddingy. It has that sort of, it's a bread and it feels like you're having a treat, like you're having something dessertish. Generally, that it's so nice, and everything that goes with it, everything seems to go well with it, which seems almost counterproductive. It's like something where sweet things don't tend to go. Certain sweet things, I guess, go with savoury things, but everything goes well in a bagel. And I still don't have them regularly enough. But every time I have one, I get a proper, oh my God, I love this. I absolutely love bagels. And that, so the wonder of a bagel has never ever left me. I never have one and don't appreciate it, if you know what I mean. So you can have them, but I don't have them like on the regular. They're not something that's always on a shopping list.
Mm.
They're an occasional thing, an occasional, or even, you know, I'll get like a bagel from a cafe, like a filled bagel. Always a treat. Or I'll get, you know, a salt beef bagel with pickles from Brick Lane Bagel Shop or something. I'll go down there and I'll get something like that. Always, I never don't like it. You know, it's a sort of sweet, waxy. It's very easy to eat. It's got a big. It's main. There's a lot of crust about it, but it's got none of the. There's none of the.
It's not really crusty.
Like, no, it's not like a French loaf where you enjoy the crust. It's almost like there's crust, and yet it's not like crust.
It's more like a skin or a rind. It's like it's part of the same thing very much.
Yeah, very waxy, almost like, I would think almost like an iced bun or something. It's got that sort of texture to it. But I feel like I've never spoilt them. I've never gone beyond the kind of having it all the time and taking it for granted. Every time I have one, I'm always struck by how much I love a bagel. And I mean like bagels from proper bagel shops, that whatever they're called, American bagels you get in supermarkets. Always like, I don't think I've ever had a bad one. And that's why I would have that as my number 2 bread.
No doubt. My number 2 is a naan. Naan bread, leavened flatbread, king of flatbreads. Everywhere in the world outside of Western Europe has their own special flatbreads, or in Northern Europe. And they're good. There's some good ones. There's some great ones out there. But naan, to me, with the like bubbled up little bits of dough bubble, fantastic. The kind of slightly oily elasticness of it, way when you tear it apart, there's nothing like it. And you know, you have it with a you know, South Asian meal, whatever, but you can just eat a naan. Like, very lucky in Finsbury Park, we've got some of the best bakeries, and we've got Baban's Naan place on Blackstock Road, which is like, you could get 3 naans for £1, fresh cooked in front of you. There you go, 3 naans, and you could just walk down the street eating your naan, and that's amazing. The value is ridiculous, so filling, so fresh. You could take it home and fill it with something or dip it in something, but you could just eat it tearing bits off when you walk down the street. Naan is fantastic. Like, it's crazy filling. You know what I mean? Like, that fills you up. But you have like an Indian meal and you've got naan, and you just, you know, you're dipping that, and you're, you know, eating it, and you're like, I am stuffed. I'm stuffed with naan. Absolutely dying of naan. But it's beautiful. I really think it's got everything going on as breads go.
I like when flatbreads, you tear into them and they're almost like they've got like a natural pocket to put things in. I think that's great as a food stuff.
Yeah, you're gonna fill those bubbles up.
Do you like anything in it, or do you rather have a plain naan and something that's got like a keema naan or something that's got a?
I probably have a plain naan. So I'm gonna have quite a spicy curry. You know, I'm gonna like the lightness taste wise and have a balance. If I want the sweetness, have a Peshwari naan. But yeah, I don't really favour a keema naan. But I mean, it's just it's all good because the magic is the way it's cooked and the little like kind of you get little kind of burnt bits on it, and you get some bits that are hardly cooked at all, and the stretchiness. But you got to eat it fresh. You got to eat it hot. You know, you can't be leaving it till later. It does not last. You know what I mean?
No, it
Like
doesn't.
a
No,
focaccia
it
or
doesn't.
something that's like a nice bread, and then when it's gone cold, you're like, this is rubbish. You got to eat your naan. But if you weren't eating your naan while it's hot, what were you doing? Like, what took your attention away? You're crazy. Eat your naan.
Yeah, I think we could probably discuss other flatbreads, but let's leave it till later in case it interrupts either of our top spots.
What's your number one bread?
My number one bread is probably the most controversial, but it is on Wikipedia's list of breads, and it's a scone.
What? That's a bread?
Scone. It's on the list. It's on the list. That was it. I was like, okay, well,
I guess it is a bread. I mean,
I don't know. I found it controversial. I found it was like, but when I saw it, I went, oh man, imagine never having a scone again. I love a scone. Big scone fan.
if you never had one again, you wouldn't say you don't know what it's got till it's gone, would you?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
you do know.
I do
Or,
know.
yeah.
Yeah.
That wouldn't work if you call it scone, all you sconers out there.
Oh yeah, I don't appreciate any of this scone nonsense, and I kind of won't have it either. Like, of course it's scone, of course it is.
It's
Like,
scone.
I feel whenever someone says scone, I feel like I'm being gaslit. It's like, come off it. Nice try, but you're wrong. You're plainly wrong. It's
They're
definitely.
fanatical about the word scone.
Do they say a drop scone? Like a drop scone?
No, man. It's just the amount of
Crazy.
time it takes to say it. That's the
Yeah.
longest vowel in the world.
Yeah, because also I just think it sounds like you're almost being ridiculously posh.
Yeah, it's like hyacinth
well.
bouquet. It's like
Yeah.
no, not a scone.
And yeah, I'm pretty sure posh people say scone as well. I don't think they even do it, and it's in their natural dialect.
Scone.
I love them. I mean, the only thing that would knock its placing from the top spot for me is the idea that I thought, would I eat a dry scone? And I thought about it for a second, went, yeah, I might need a bit of water, but I'd definitely do it.
I would for sure.
Yeah.
The thing that for me like makes it a weird bread is that it's very much a sweet thing, not a savory thing, right?
Absolutely.
You're not going to put
absolutely
Marmite on a scone.
It wouldn't even have made my list were it not on the list of breads. And then when it's there, it feels like it's a bit like, it does feel like it's cheated in its place. It's not one where I go, oh, well, you know.
But like, you know, as far as ingredients go, yeah, it's bread, right? I mean, it's not, there's nothing else. I mean, I guess you could say it's a cake. You could say it's a cake, but it's really bread. It's not.
Yeah. Well, I guess according to this, it's not a cake, pastry, or fried dough. So you go, okay. I think you could argue it's a cake, but
I've got an honourable mention which poses a similar problem, and we'll get to that, I'm sure. But like, yeah, scones are great. I didn't even consider them. They are.
No,
great,
it was on the list, but I love them. Absolutely love them. And like sometimes, like every time I pass one, I'm always tempted. I'm tempted in a supermarket by a scone. I can't walk by without imagining the future where I have them.
The kind of saltiness of it is amazing. Like, say you have it with a clotted cream or something, you know, like the combination of the saltiness of a scone with something sweet or something just clean tasting. You know what I mean? That's incredible. Like,
yes, please. Love it.
A scone is amazing, and you can't have butter on a scone like melted. You couldn't have that.
No,
you know what I mean. It's not, and you could they definitely don't need to be hot. They need to be cooled. You know what I mean. They need to finish settling. I mean, I used to make scones with my dad sometimes on a when I was really little, when I was like a toddler, and my dad, if I got up early and my mum needed some sleep, and so my dad would be like, "Let's go and make some scones." So we'd be doing that at like 7 a.m. or something. But then we'd have them for later. You weren't allowed one till they were till they was
Yeah.
cooled. You put them on the rack and everything. But then you'd have them for the day and stuff. Maybe the day after. They were good.
Oh man, alive! I could eat a scone. Also, I'm not a big kind of clotted cream person, but I like it as an ingredient. I
When
like
in
it in a
Rome,
rice
when in
pudding.
Rome.
Yeah,
Like if
but
you're in that
I'm
part of the
not.
world.
But it does feel a bit wrong not to have a bit of clotted cream on a scone. I can do without it, but when you do it, it is like it is kind of what I think clotted cream is built for.
Oh yeah. I
It's like
don't
it's
think I'd
built
have
for
it in any
scones.
other situation, to be honest with you.
Yeah, yeah.
Good.
It's my
And
number one scone.
my number one was already on your list, but I like it more. I love it. It's a bagel. The bagel, the poached and baked bread that gives it its magic sheen, its magic rubberiness. I'm from Finsbury Park, where since the mid 90s we've had the fantastic Happening Bagel Bakery. I'll fight anybody to say it's as good a bagel as you can get. People talk to me about Bagel Bake and Bagel Shop on Brick Lane. Those are not on the level in any way. Those are really good. They do really good filled bagels. You want a salt beef bagel? Go there. Great. Happening Bagel is not about filled bagels. Their filled bagels are like in cellophane. They've been sitting there. They're pretty rubbish. Don't get one. It's about buying 12 plain, taking them home. That's 3 days worth of delicious meals, you know, and do your own filling them. They'll still be hot when you get them. So you need to, if they put them in a plastic bag, you need to open it up before you get home. Otherwise, they're going to sweat. Not nice. Okay. You need to let them breathe. But Happening Bagel, Grodzinski's, Grods, if you've got one in your neighborhood, they're great. There used to be loads of them around London. I don't think there's that many now. There's definitely still one in Stamford Hill. Carmelli in Golders Green, they are top notch. If you are coming at me about Happening Bagel and you're saying Carmelli, I'll be like, oh, okay, fair enough. It's mostly only old people that will pick that fight, and I'll be like, Carmelli is good, right? But Happening Bagel Bakery, I've got their legendary wall calendar behind me. They once did a wall calendar free to good customers. I was straight in there. Had some this weekend. If you like a poppy seed or sesame seed, great. If you're kids, you can have a rainbow bagel. Rainbow bagel will blow your mind if you're a kid. All the different colors. It's just taste of food coloring, and your poo comes out green. Kids go crazy for that. But a bagel is just, to me, the absolute best. Like, I can eat it just like that. Like, a hot one, come out the shop with a hot plain one, just eat it. I've eaten one on the way home, right? I've got home. Now I'm cutting them open or ripping them open, even better, because then you get the more rough edges. Almost anything is good in a bagel. It's just fantastic,
I think that's true.
chewy thing. But you could, you could have, if you want to have your salmon and cream cheese or whatever, go ahead, do have that. You just put some Marmite in it. Brilliant. Just put some butter on it, hot, toasted in half. Only toast one side, but that's just you need a toaster with the one side setting. But oh my days,
I think
bagel is
that is because
incredible.
it also nothing in it. Nothing.
Nothing, you just eat it. It's got a sweetness to it, but it's not sweet. It's just got that little sweetness to it, and it's just unbelievable. And like you said, even a kind of crappy bagel, I wouldn't go as far as to say like the supermarket packet of 5 in a plastic bag ones are good. I do think they're really disappointing, but like in most cafes or something where they serve them, they'll be all right. For a while, there was a chain of bagel shops called like
Oh
Bagel
yeah.
Stop or something. When I worked at HMV, there was one of them, and I go there every day, and they'd be like, "Well, what do you want in your bagel?" And I'd be like, "This, this, this." They make it fresh for you. I'd be like, "And some pepper." They grind pepper, and they'd be like, "More, more." It was great. And then I'd go back, sit in the staff room, and eat a bagel. That was good enough. It's just the best. I had bagels this weekend. They were unbelievable. Took them to a picnic. Everyone was like, these bagels are unbelievable. I was like, yeah, Finsbury Park. You know, oh, I thought the best ones probably came from Brick Lane. I was like, no. You know, oh, done they better in Stamford Hill? No, no.
I find
Very
it
passionate
very
about it.
difficult to argue with you, really, especially as if my number one comes up in the steward's inquiry, then it's got to be
Fullback is
bagel anyway.
fullback is bagel anyway. No, I think they're crazy good, and I wouldn't want to live without them. To be honest with you, they really are. That's it. Bagel. I'm there for you. What I love about bagels as well is there's no settled on way of spelling bagel.
No.
Right? London's say 5 top bagel bakeries use 4 different spellings of bagel. Bagels, absolute best. Oh, I want some bagels now. I ate the last bagels earlier today, so there's no more bagels. I was going to put some bagels behind me for the YouTube, but I ate them.
Well, that's another good recommendation.
Honourable mentions.
I got a few. I mentioned one before, of course. The ciabatta, the kind of good butter holder, but not the best. Also on the list of breads, a cracker.
Yeah, guess so.
Cracker.
Not a big fan of crackers.
I think of that water biscuit they call them, right?
Yeah, I like
a cracker.
A Cars water biscuit. I quite like. That'd be my cracker of choice. I'll put a bit of Marmite on that. I'd have that if I was when I was a child and I was like been sick or something. My dad would always be like, "Just try a water biscuit. See if that.
See
if you can hold that down." I could hold that down.
Crackers I do like, I think they're a good butter holder, a cracker. I think they're a good similar, I guess, to a breadstick, which I really want to like breadsticks more than I do. I love a restaurant that has them, so I almost can't resist having one. But I'm always like, this is okay. Yeah, I don't love them.
You want to pretend you're smoking a cigar, and then that's worn off.
Or you want to pretend you're like Bugs Bunny pushing a carrot into his face as you just kind of crunch it in your front teeth. That's what you want to do.
I got the cottage loaf. Again, it's another kind of old classic British one that's going out of style because it's not very practical. Like 2 balls of bread on top of each other. They don't make very good slices. It's all a bit weird, but a nice cottage loaf is great. And in London, you used to get cottage brick, the kind of rectangular ones. I don't think that exists anymore, but that was quite good fun. Another good one is the Lye rolls or Laugengebäck, Laugenbrötchen, baked goods dipped in lye to give them this crazy shiny outside, and then with the salt on top. Most commonly, a pretzel, right? A big pretzel.
Okay.
Most commonly a big pretzel, but I much prefer the kind of little rolls, the Laugenbrötchen. They're like, little kind of breakfast rolls with that. The pretzel bread basically is the like a big pretzel, so it's got more of the soft inside compared to in relation to the outside. Lovely stuff. Have them in Germany.
Never been a big pretzel fan.
No, you're not a big pretzel. I'm not a big pretzel fan, but you want to try these little rolls. They're great.
Okay.
But challah or challah, the Jewish plaited braided loaves.
Oh, yeah.
Again, they do great ones of them in Finsbury Park and in any Jewish neighborhood, like classic Ashkenazi Jewish bread for having on your special occasions and stuff. But that's like the sweetest bread that I will eat. It's lovely, great with soup. It's a fantastic bread. It's crazy cheap around here as well. Lovely stuff. And then the other sweet bread is a brioche, right? Like a brioche bun, great with a hamburger or something like that. People always buy those little ones in bags with chocolate chips in. I'm not really up for that. But the thing about a brioche, right, is it's considered a viennoiserie, which is like croissants and Danish pastries, because it has so much egg and butter that it's kind of not bread. But brioche does feel like bread, but you use it like bread, right?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a bread. It wouldn't make my top 5. I always find when brioche it's like on burger, I'm a bit like, why? I just think there's too much like, you got burger already. It feels a bit like, do you need something sweet as well?
I feel nice, like man. A bit
extra.
It's not the sweetness. Extra. No, because it's the way it cooks, the way you put it on the grill. and it gets the char immediately because it's got the high sugar content. It immediately like flames up. So you just put it on for a second, take it off. I have it on the barbecue, put it on the grill. It's already like charred. That's brilliant. That's what it's got going for it, is the like charredness along with the sweetness. But yeah, not top 5. We've got tiger bread. Tiger bread's a weird one, or sometimes called giraffe bread because it looks more like a giraffe than a tiger. Rice paste bread with sesame oil. So rice paste on the top makes the pattern. The sesame oil gives it its weird taste. I think the sesame oil taste is weird, and I don't always like it. It's the kind of bread I'm enjoying, and then afterwards I'm like, oh, I don't want to eat that. It's a cool bread. It's a cool alternative bread. I think it's Dutch. Flatbreads.
Have you got any other favourite flatbreads?
Like a chapati. I really don't like hard ones like matzos or like. I don't really like a papadum. It's fine, but it's more like a crisp. It's like one big crisp.
Yeah. I'd think of that. I don't really think of that as a bread.
No.
Naan is a bread. So I guess any flatbreads for you are second to naan. Is that right? That'd be fair to say?
Yeah, second to none.
Yeah.
Second to none. It's good. I struggled to find any bread related records to hide in the background of my shot for YouTube, but I did find this one hit wonder rap single from the early to mid 90s by Ziggy, and it's called Raking in the Dough. So Raking in the Dough is the best I could get for a bread related record.
Yeah. I wonder if you could have the theme from bread.
I don't actually own that vinyl, despite an extensive bad TV show theme record section.
Do you know what? I couldn't say 100% that I don't have it. Yeah. I might well have that.
Could you sing a bit?
Well have that. I could see the whole thing, probably. But I won't.
Yeah. No, bread in popular culture is not. I don't know. Considering I think it's one of the best things in the world, bread, it hasn't really been, I don't know, celebrated enough. We just take it for granted.
No, we don't have many like bread mascots, or there was Powdered Toast Man, I guess, on Ren and Stimpy. It's probably about as close as we get to a bread mascot, right?
Mr. Bun the Baker.
Yeah. Not many not many bread based what is it, Doughboy? Does that count? But kinda that's
the Pillsbury Doughboy or Doughboy from Boys in the Hood.
No, the Pillsbury Doughboy.
Okay. Yeah.
But you don't get many animated bread characters. Fictional bread characters, top 5 would be tough.
I think the best fictional bread book is probably In the Night Kitchen by Maurice Sendak. That's as good as it gets for bread content.
What's the one that what's it called? Is it called the Giant Jam Sandwich?
Yeah, Giant Jam Sandwich is a great bread book. That's a great one. Oh, that's great. You wanted to talk about daily bread, and so for me, I got the sourdough every couple of days, few days. The frequency of sourdough is slowed down now. There's more work pressures and stuff, but sourdough, let's go. But the kids won't eat that. The kids want to eat like Tesco baguette, which they call my youngest calls favorite bread, and she goes, "I want favorite bread." And then she eats the inside out of a piece of a piece of baguette and leaves the crust. It's infuriating. Like there's no crust that she won't shun.
How does she get to it?
She gets it like that, and she has butter on it, and she eats it, and she gets butter all over her nose and her cheeks.
Oh, so she has like a half, like split in two.
Split in half, and then she eats all the bread with the butter out of the middle, gets butter all on her nose, and then leaves this kind of boat-shaped crust.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Do you remember in the 80s they tried to make French bread pizza a thing?
Yep.
And that didn't really take off.
No, but French bread, garlic bread did.
Yeah, it's true.
Always gutted if I order garlic bread in a restaurant and it's a French bread garlic bread rather than a pizza dough garlic bread. Gutted. Not a fan. So that's bagels if I can be bothered. Sometimes because when I had kids in pushchairs in prams and they needed walking around, I would go like every day and get bagels from the bagel bakery. But it's probably a nearly 15-minute walk or something. It's not that convenient to do all my other shopping in that direction, so I don't go that much. Also, they're quite expensive, like 70p now for a bagel. Like in the same bakery, you can get a loaf of bread that's like twice the size of my head for £1.60. So they represent bad value for money, but there's more labor involved with them. They're a special product. But yeah, I will eat bagels if I got the option for sure. How about you? So you just having a thickish sliced.
I'll tell you what, I'll have a Warburton's toasty, or that's probably my number one choice. Or I'm basically having any kind of sliced wholemeal as a daily bread.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really have a preference. Or it will just be where I am. If I'm near an M&S, I'll get their medium white sliced loaf. Their thick is far too thick, and their medium has quite a good it makes your toast a bit more crunchy, which isn't a bad thing. I wouldn't like it all the time.
I do like, although I never have it now, like an absolute trash sliced white toasted with butter. Like that's great. Like a school tuck shop style slice of toast. That's fantastic. I don't have that enough because I don't want a whole loaf of it,
No.
I just want to get some in a cafe. A round of toast. Round of toast. Round of toast is 4 pieces, right?
I wouldn't even say. I don't want to say 2, but maybe.
Round of toast. It's really specific. I can't remember.
I kind of think of it when you have it in a bed and breakfast and how many triangles are sat in there.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Toast rack. So maybe it is. I think, is that 2?
Not a fan of toast racks. If it's on a rack, it's already spoiled, if you ask me. You need to get it on your plate and eat it quick.
So why don't you tell us what your favourite breads are?
Yeah.
And also, I don't really want arguments about whether scones are bread. You can take that with Wikipedia. But that's not my argument. I just it's their world. I just live in it. Okay. But yeah, underneath this, if you've got any comments, why don't you tell us about your favourite breads?
You recommend it to any. If you've got friends who are particularly into bread, say, hey, you'll like this podcast about bread. With these 2 guys talking about bread for ages. And
I don't know if it still exists online somewhere. I think it might do. Years ago, I was in James Acaster's radio show, James Acaster's Findings, and he and I did a whole episode where we dissected bread. So that's another. If I can find it, I
remember that.
I will link to it around the week of release.
Thank you for this. It's been breaducational.
Oh, nice.
That's terrible. And
no, I won't have that. That was great.
All right, we've got to do 1 pun a week. And don't worry, pizza fans. We're pizza fans. It's coming. We will get to pizza, but pizza is its own thing.
I think even before we get to pizza, we'll do some other pizza related things before we get to pizza.
Top 5 fictional pizzas coming soon.
Yeah, and then some.
Yeah, like which films have the most tasty looking pizzas in?
Oh yeah, I do think that.
Films and cartoons.
Got a lot of opinions on pizzas, but that'll come later.
See you next time on Let's Stuff.
Goodbye.
Bye.